Hi, I am Maria Vasquez and I am a primary teacher at Villa Montessori School. I've been teaching for 6 years. I graduated from Grand Canyon University with a degree in secondary education, specifically biology. So I actually started teaching as a high school biology teacher before life happened and sort of led me to Villa. I started my career here as a primary assistant for 2 years, which gave me the chance to really take in the method and observe the children in this sort of environment. And I fell in love and decided to get my AMS certification. And so for the last 3 years, I've been a lead teacher at the school. I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona, but my parents are actually from Guatemala, so I am fluent in both English and Spanish, which I love to share with the children and incorporate in the lessons that I give. Today I will be talking about the language curriculum in the primary program and sort of explaining how the children develop those skills at this age level. So let's get started.
Learning to communicate through speech is a huge step towards independence in children because they are able to make their needs and desires known. Therefore, children begin their journey through the language curriculum through spoken language or pre-language skills. The pre-language materials in the Montessori environment serve to build visual discrimination, auditory discrimination, and concept development. Often, language shelves have several activities for the youngest children, such as how to handle a book, matching, rhyming, storytelling, playing games to isolate beginning sounds, identifying opposites, and much more. Many of these materials consist of small objects, and these small objects appeal to the child who, typically at this age, is in a sensitive period for these sorts of small objects and finds working with them quite engaging. All of these activities are accessible to every age group, as it does not require the child to know how to read yet, but it does help support them on their path to readiness. Writing is a hands-on process, and the Montessori approach takes advantage of the fact that the children are naturally hands-on learners. In the Montessori classroom, children develop hand strength very early on during activities that encourage the use of the pincer grasp, such as the cylinder blocks in the sensorial shelves. The hand position used to pick up the blocks is the same as the one used in holding a pencil. This could also be said for the tweezers and spoons and tongs used in the practical life area, or the pin punchers used in arts and crafts, or the knobs used in puzzles such as the world map puzzles. Once the foundational hand strength is developed, which does take time because the children are constantly growing, we begin to direct the work with pencils and introduce the children to a beautiful collection of colored pencils and the metal insets. Instead of going through tedious handwriting worksheets or workbooks in the early stages of writing, the children are intrigued by the color pencils and the different shapes of the metal insets and will start using them to trace shapes, draw parallel lines, or make patterns, all of which are skills needed to create letters of the alphabet in the future. Typically in a Montessori classroom, writing does come before reading because it is a hands-on process. But eventually, the writing starts to meet the reading when the children are then introduced to sandpaper letters. Children begin learning the letter sounds using sandpaper letters, which incorporate the sense of touch to further reinforce learning. While the child learns the letter sound, they trace the letter with their fingers on a textured sandpaper inscription of the letter, learning the strokes used eventually to write that letter on paper. Once the child has mastered the sounds associated with each letter, the children will be shown the movable alphabet, which will allow them to easily put letters together, sounding them out to spell simple and then progressively more complex words. The movable alphabet allows children to sort of begin writing even before they develop the fine motor skills to control a pencil. In all of the primary classrooms, you will see a set of rainbow drawers, which we call the WASECA reading program, or WASECA drawers. This program is cleanly structured to provide a systematic and sequential presentation of the phonics and also allows the child to go at their own pace without feeling pressured. We always want to present reading and writing in a positive and fun way so that the children remain engaged and are intrinsically motivated. These drawers are used in a multi-step process beginning with basic phonetics. First, the child must read the labels and match them to the pictures. Then they put the labels away and the pictures are spelled out with the movable alphabet. Finally, the children practice some writing by copying the words on paper to create a booklet that they can then take home and practice reading. Once the child completes each step, they can move on to the next drawer. Each drawer is a little more challenging. The material also provides the kids with a control of error on the back so that they can check their own work with minimal interruptions from the teacher, except for when introducing a new sound that they might not be familiar with. Basic grammar and punctuation concepts are interwoven throughout the Montessori language curriculum as well. Children are exposed to concepts such as nouns and verbs and oral language games. In the Montessori classroom, the grammar solids are a fun tool used to introduce grammar concepts and can be paired with a miniature environment like a farm or dollhouse so that the children can identify and label parts of speech.
Language is not just one area of the classroom or isolated in one part of the classroom, but rather implemented in almost all parts of the classroom environment. So, for example, right now we are studying bugs, and so in this material, the children learn to tell a story and practice sequencing and just being able to tell a story on their own. We learn how to enrich our vocabulary with the names of different bugs and insects. Some of the older children actually can make a book in which they do parts of a butterfly, and they are able to practice both their writing and their reading. Puzzles are very, very great for developing those pre-writing skills because it forces the children to practice that pincer graphs that we talk about a lot. And so we just try to incorporate language in all parts of the language area in my classroom. Although you will see just a few differences in some of the classrooms, they all have the same skills and concepts that we teach for language. You will see a lot of the same materials, such as the metal insets or sandpaper letters. There's always a reading corner in every classroom, and you'll see the very famous rainbow drawers, or what we call the WASECA reading program that the children use to learn to read. But for the most part, we have works for every skill needed for the children to develop their reading and writing.